Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Penny Lane Podcast with ESQ Trading. Now, on this episode, Justin couldn't make it, so my friend Real Simple Ariel stepped in to help. He was such an amazing co-host, and I'm so thankful that he was here because it really became like a masterclass in trading, and I learned so much from listening to ESQ and Ariel talk to each other. I love ESQ. As you know, she was on season 1 of the Penny Lane podcast, and she's so transparent with her trading and with some of the struggles she goes through and how she built consistency. And since season 1, she's made $1 million in profit. So massive congratulations. And there's so much we can learn from her, and there's so much I did learn from her during this episode. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. Stay tuned. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Penny Lane Podcast. We have such a special episode today. ESQ Trading is back, and we have a very special co-host, Real Simple Ariel. Ariel, do you want to say hi?
Hey, ESQ, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good, and I'm so happy to have you back on.
Yeah, and I'm excited to be here as a co-host myself. So this was spur of the moment, but the second I found out it was ESQ Trading, I knew I had some questions for her myself. So I was jumping at the bit. I was jumping at the bit.
Well, before we started this episode, we were just saying that I think ESQ has the second most downloaded episode of Penny Lane Podcast Season 1. And since Season 1, you have hit a very big professional milestone. Do you want to tell us what it is?
I hit the $1 million mark in my account. And,
congratulations.
$1 million in realized gains.
That's so amazing. And I love the tweet you sent out about your power couple status with you and your husband. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
We both hit a big goal. We both hit 2.5 million together. And that was pretty crazy considering where we were, just even a year ago. And then especially since we've been married. So it's been quite a ride with him,
Is he just so effing proud of you? Like, he must be.
Yeah, no, I think he is. I think we're both like proud of each other because, we both went the traditional route in terms of like going to school and grinding it out. He's an engineer. And so, he did that for undergrad and then for grad school. And so considering like we both grinded out, him engineering and then me law school, and then we got to our professional careers, to go from like thinking that we were, really setting ourselves up then and then experiencing what we've experienced in the past year and a half together, or almost 2 years now, it's been like crazy.
Now, remind me, he trades large caps. Is that correct?
No, so I mean, that's how he started out. So when he first was introduced to trading, this was like back in like 2014, 15-ish, around that time. Could have been 2013, I'm not sure. But when he first started, he'd started with like mid and large cap, just to like long-term invest. And at that time, it wasn't anything like to the level of what we're doing now. I don't know what his yearly returns were, but they couldn't have been more than like maybe 10, 15,000 ish, maybe if that was like a particularly good year. But 2020 is when it really like picked up for him, and then for me in the like later half of 2020. But both of us in the later half in June when I started was like it definitely skyrocketed then. But prior to that, when I was doing my ups and downs, he was kind of consistent in that point already.
I'm really so jealous. I think like all the people I trade with are online, and my husband comes home at the end of the day, and I try so hard not to be in a bad mood if I've had a bad day. And most of the time I'm successful. But like yesterday, I was just in a terrible mood. And I can't even, like, he doesn't know. He doesn't care. It's just like bogs down the relationship. So I think it'd be so nice to be able to use almost like a shorthand of like, yeah, I did this. I wish I had, have that kind of language. Do you guys talk about trading much after the trading day is over?
So I'll tell you a little story to make you feel a little bit better about the fact that I do trade with somebody else sitting next to me every single day. So yeah, when I first started like full time, he had like just recently moved to a desk. So it wasn't prior to that, it was just on his phone. And I mean, I'm sure you notice the difference now of what a difference that makes. But when that happened, that summer, so like June, July, like it was a great summer. I'm not gonna lie. We had like so much fun. We were talking about stocks every day, like we were talking about this and what happened here and whatever and this and that. Um, but then after a while, it's kind of like the honeymoon period of, of trading that kind of goes away. And sometimes you just don't want to talk about it. And I'm more of the I want to talk about my feelings and how I felt about trading every single day. And he's more on the side of like, okay, I'm done with the day and I'm moving on with my life today. Um, so that kind of happens sometimes. Also, like he's consistently more green than I am. I take more risks than
Crazy.
he did.
That's
Yeah,
crazy to
yeah.
hear because I see how consistently green you are. I mean, that's
I mean,
incredible for him
I
to
track it
be.
in like sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean
It's
to cut you off.
incredible that he stays, even more consistent than you do. That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Especially
like
in the latest market that we've been in for the last 6 or 8 weeks.
yeah. Well, it's just funny. He had a red day today.
Ha
But
ha.
yeah,
Got
I know.
him.
I know, right? No, but like September, he was green the whole month. I'm looking at the trading chart. September, he was green the whole month. August, he had two red days totaling like $450. July, one red day, $50.
Wait.
So
Are you married to singles and doubles and we just
no,
don't know?
no, no,
That sounds like his track record.
no. Yeah, so he's consistently more green than I am. I will take on riskier trades than he will take on. When I take on riskier trades or when I'm really trading with the vibes, as I like to say,
Sure.
I'll say that to him. I my days are significantly bigger than his. Like my biggest day is like much bigger than his. Last week when I was trading CEI, I had like a huge day compared to him. So there's like a little bit of like you know, his consistency every day helps. Then sometimes I'll pick it up in other ways that he doesn't. Like he doesn't trade large cap anymore, but I still do. Or I started, right? So yeah, so that's one side of it. But then, there's days where like it's kind of almost like a if then statement of sorts. So like if I have a green day and he has a green day, it's a good day. If I have a green day or if I have a red day and he has a green day, it's a good day. If I have a green
Sure.
day and he has a red day, it's not the greatest of days, okay?
What a
but
dynamic.
yeah.
Should we take a little Penny Lane pause break and talk about what happened to CEI today? Because that
Yeah,
was
let's talk
that
about
was
that.
scary. Were
Yeah.
either of you in that first halt down?
No, but I was close to being in that first halt down.
I actually played it for the hold of $1, but I got terrible fills. I still played it, and I played it well. Um, but I tried to get in as many as I could, as close to $1, because once it breaks the dollar, then we're moving in the fractions of a penny. So I knew that if this thing does go into the 99 cents, we're not going to be dropping as viciously anymore, as we would have, from 160, 170, 180, 190. But it had a lot of the GME feel to it. It was just, you're
Mm,
just waiting for the big crack, on guys who had been stuffing short. And oddly enough, it happens on, the day when there's an options chain, and there's a lot of mumbo jumbo going on with, what was it? Who was the short firm that came out? Starts with a K.
Terrace
Kurzweil.
Terrace.
Yep, there it is. So
Is that like Hindenburg? Maybe
yeah, they
dumb
just, or
question.
Citron. I don't know that Citron shorts much anymore after getting blown up a zillion times. But yeah, I mean, they're just another short firm. But it's crazy, right? Somebody just gets to say, "Hey, we're short this," to the open public, and it creates like this fear, and gosh, the payday to the downside for them must have been amazing. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it.
So, Esk, were you trading it this morning?
Yeah, so I was trading like the channel that I was in from like, 6:45 to I don't know, some like maybe 7:30-ish. Um and I bought the dip on I bought like the lower part of the channel and then it broke the channel. So I was out already at that time. I took a loss on it and then I just cut the trade. So I didn't mess with the down halts like I did last week. Because last week I was all over the down halts, and I think like some people got a little overly excited with the down halts too, because they thought it was going to be kind of similar to last week. But there were so many notable differences. Like last week, the day that it happened, there was so much volume. Like there was so much hype that day around it. It was kind of almost like you were getting to buy your shares back cheaper. Um, there was also like a fake offering, so the
mhm,
vibes were there for you to like, the chances of it felt like it was gonna not, you know, keep falling down forever,
mhm,
and you were gonna be able to make money. This time, the first down halt, if you bought, the next down halt, you were significantly down, especially if you did it with size. So I just didn't trade it today because I could tell like the morale was already low on it, you know, just it is what it is.
Last week I did that challenge where I didn't trade, like I didn't look at Discord or Twitter, and I hate CEI. And like as you're talking through that, I was like, did I like black out? Like I have no idea what you're talking about. I just didn't, it never came across my screen last week. I was like, oh, CEI, not for me. So
Oh,
I had no
really?
idea. I had no idea that happened.
I was like destroyed on whatever day I traded it. I was mentally exhausted. It was a really good day for me, but I was like mentally exhausted. I wish so this is one of those things where like for me, I just stay away from anything I don't fully understand. So I've experienced down halts when the momentum is on like the green side, like everyone still believes in the stock. I've experienced that, so that's why I traded it. But I've never, I mean, I wouldn't say never, it's happened, but since I've been following down halts more closely, I haven't seen something like this. And so I personally just stayed away from it because I didn't really know what it was going to do.
So
yeah, and
where,
I'll say this too. I was watching the down halt, and it halted actually going up. One of the
hmm
halts down, like near
The first
maybe a
one.
$1.20 or something like that, and then when it reopened, it opened lower on an upward halt.
hmm
So once that happened, the next safest spot is maybe a buck, and you dabble,
Yeah.
but otherwise, it. You're absolutely right. It didn't have that same kind of this is gonna bounce feel.
Yeah, no, I walked away from my desk like probably like around not like 8:50 because I've also been doing that recently more. I've always traded for the most part up until this past August where I sit at my desk until from open until close. And then in August, I started doing this thing where I started taking like a little nap in the middle of the day, from like, 8:30 to like 10:30. Um, and I started noticing like even in the past couple weeks that really if I trade well in the morning, there's not really that much for me to trade and feel like I'm gonna, make a significant um gain on the day later in the day. So when it was
oh,
like
so I,
8:50ish, I walked
sorry,
away.
I don't mean to interrupt you, tell us what time zone you're in, because I'm like,
West.
Oh,
you
I'm so
missed
West, I'm
sorry.
market
assuming.
open. Like, how are you
West.
missing?
West, I'm assuming, right?
West. Yeah, I'm West Coast. I'm West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
All right.
sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no problem.
She's just up in New York pre-market time.
Yeah, no. So my market open is 6:30 a.m.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So my
So as soon
market
as it's
open is 6.
quiet midday, you're napping, eating lunch, and then maybe
Yeah.
looking at what's setting up for power hour. Is that kind of how you go
Yeah,
about business?
yeah.
Got it.
So I'll come back at like 10:30, and then usually from my bed still I'll, go through like whatever's been going on for the day, like, basically checking Discord, Twitter, like seeing what happened, what did I miss? And then once I get to my desk, like I'll be able to see like, if my husband's already here, he'll tell me, he'll be like, "Oh, this happened, this happened." He wasn't paying attention to the CEI stuff, so when I like woke up from my nap, I saw that it had like 7 other halts after that or something crazy. Like there was so many more, and I'm glad I wasn't here. I wasn't tempted by any of them.
For the best.
But, I will say this, and I want to. I know a lot of people probably lost a lot of money today, so I feel really terrible for them. Um, but I'd gotten this question about like how do you form consistency, or how are you consistent? And I had talked about it here last time, but my first like loss, which was like $600, that was my first loss, but my first big loss was $600. Um, Back in 2020, I just knew I didn't want to lose money like that. That kind of made me feel like I'm not going to do that again. And I think today might be that moment for a lot of people where they realize like, okay, like I have to take profits. That's the only upside in this whole situation. And, hopefully they learn that lesson. But that is the lesson, right? That's, I think, the overall lesson for everything is you have to take profits. This thing ran 1,000%.
Hmm.
You know, if you asked me last week, I was FOMOing hard. I was like, oh my God, I could have like 4x or 5x my account on this thing. But, now it's like, this is what it is. It is what it is. You have to take profits.
It's the reality of anything that goes up 1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the middle of the flush, the thing was still up 400%. In
Yeah.
the $2. So
Mhm.
anybody
Mhm.
who didn't make money on it, they were just late to the party. And if you were playing the front side, I've spoken with Blaine about this plenty. We've looked at tons of setups together, and she knows you just don't play the back. Like if something's meant to go, and I've said this 1,000 times, it'll set up for you to go. And if you're looking at SMAs, EMAs, the chart will start to build higher lows. It stopped doing that a few days ago, 2 days ago. So
Mhm.
if you're using EMAs or SMAs, they're all curling down. You know, you shouldn't be hanging out in something that's already gone up 1,000%. And now the you said it, the volume wasn't the same. It wasn't reacting the same. All the signs were there. And if you're red, you should have played the front side, not the back side.
That's not very thoughtful. If you're red and you need
You
emotional
had a
support,
month to get in. You could have gotten in 1 month ago.
Yeah. No, I
okay,
mean,
that's some of us have chased a lot of things and FOMO'd a lot of things. Listen, don't listen to them. If you guys are really lost it on CEI, just DM me. I'll talk you through it. I've been
no,
well.
and people have DM me too about it, and I've talked them through it because I feel terrible when anyone loses money. This is part
Yeah.
of the reason why people will ask me like, oh, why don't you like put out calls or whatever? Which I don't even know why anyone cares, but that's literally my reasoning. I personally am so empathetic. I'd probably cry. I think if someone, lost money because of me, like I would feel terrible. So,
Wait,
um,
do you think that that's a girl thing? Because that is my biggest nightmare. Like, I rarely will talk about a trade that I'm in unless it is like, I am sure but
Do I
I'm
think
like
it's a girl thing? That's a good question.
That's
terrified.
weird. You'll shoot me a message on Discord of a name you might be looking at. They're nice setups.
Well, that's really nice of you to say, but I don't care. Like I can say whatever, and you're just like, no, that's stupid. You're not buying it. But if I
I
just
don't
don't want to
know.
say to
I mean,
anybody.
I want to say I don't even think it would matter. Like I don't like my risk tolerance is so tight that if I were to, there's like multiple reasons. Like one, if I put something out and um like it pulled back, like even the next candle maybe, I would just, my risk tolerance sometimes is so tight that it would be like my cutting point. So then I would just feel like you know, my shares are just being sold to other people. That's part of it. Part of it is like I don't even think anyone actually cares what I'm like, what I'm doing every single day. Like, why does that matter? I think I'm better at like explaining this, like like the mental aspect of trading. And then yeah, maybe it's just the girl part of like just feeling terrible, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There's so many people also that do it so well. So I just feel like that space it already exists, and the people in it are doing a good job of it, I think.
so Esk, you just touched on my favorite soundbite from season 1, and I don't want to put all of this on you because we've done a whole season of the Penny podcast. We've done a whole season number 2. But what you just said changed my trading more than anything I've learned from any other guest. And on season 1, you said, I take a trade almost where I would cut it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I mean, it changed my my full trading strategy. And I now think about that so much, and I'm so, like, snobby about where I will take a trade. That is because of you. Like, it it absolutely changed the way I trade, and, if I take a trade, it's, like, right exactly where I want my entry to be, and then the stop is right below it. So there's, like, I'm risking almost nothing, and I did not
Yeah.
do that until you said it, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. That was really important for me, especially in the beginning. Not to discourage you from continuing to do that. I've made some adjustments on that just because I've had to just, and I think those are more reflective of me becoming a better trader. So because I've become a better trader, I've allowed myself to take on a little bit more risk in that way. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing crazy. It's not like I'm, having leaving the risks for like $1 or like 50 cents or something, but it's a little bit more than it used to be. But yeah, I think that's more of a function of me just improving and knowing more and having more screen time. But yeah, in the beginning, I was so cutthroat with that, where if and I credit that to being the reason my account got built, because I would just cut anything that would even the slightest hesitation over whether it would move to the upside. I would just cut it because I just didn't know enough and I was new to trading.
Well, I told Ariel the other day, I'm in that hard part of trading where I'm over PDT, but I'm not so over PDT that I feel like I can
Hmm.
risk very much.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a struggle to stay over PDT, right? So I'm in the perfect area for that rule because I can trade as much as I want. I just cannot lose as much as I want. Or
Yeah.
I said that wrong. Like,
No,
obviously,
no,
I don't
no.
want to
I
lose,
get
but
what you're saying. You're not allowing, like Esk was saying, now she'll allow the stock to breathe a little bit more because
yeah.
she might realize, hey, my entry wasn't perfect, but technically, this chart's not dead. It might still be respecting certain levels. It might still be above VWAP, which might be key for you, whatever indicator you might have, and so she might allow it a little bit more breathing room where when you're just above that PDT where you're at right now, you're like, okay, shoot, I really don't even want to see it go down to VWAP, where Ask might now say, hey, my cut is below VWAP. and part of it, sometimes I'll tell people too, if you're even more patient for your entry, you end up being more rewarded on the upside. Sometimes we're so anxious about getting into something that we feel is good that it might still have that little extra pullback or that little breakdown. Ask, you probably notice this because hearing what you say, do you not necessarily buy off of a trend line, but you try to find stocks that are channeling, right? Like just in a certain channel?
Yeah, so I try to find stuff that's either in a channel. I love playing upper trend line breaks. I know that's not everyone's jam. They're a little riskier, especially with the knife fee market that we got ourselves into since April.
Mm-hmm,
um,
mm-hmm.
but when the market's there and I don't see a ton of knives on a chart, I don't mind playing like the upper trend line breaks. Because I know those are good setups for me. I use size, and then I'm usually out within like, couple of candles. And that's the trade. And I'll just do rinse and repeat that a couple of times if the trend is there for it.
I love it. Love it. Like flat top breakouts sometimes as well. Just
Sometimes flat
easy.
top break. Yeah.
Yeah, just simple chart patterns to recognize with some higher lows being put in.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're sitting there soaking up all the dips with all the massive size you're playing with now.
No, no. I'm not. I don't. I'm not the best dip buyer. I think. I
So you
much.
buy the breakout?
Yeah. No, I buy the breakout. So like, I buy the dips also. So like today, for example, in CEI, like obviously it's a great example of how I don't think I'm the best, dip buyer because I bought the lower trend line on the channel, and then it broke the channel. So, so that's why I kind of don't like doing that as much, especially if the chart has like a consistent pattern to the upside. Then I feel a little bit like if it's just like, I don't want to call it, what would you call them? Like little humps, like little,
Like to the
what's the
upside, you're
technical,
saying?
yeah, what's the technical word for that? I don't even know.
Um, you mean like a lower low being put in?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Or
the
I'm
lower
sorry,
lows.
a lower high being put in?
Yeah. So if the no, so higher low, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows.
Okay,
I mean,
yep.
yeah. So you're seeing them like be put in, and then I feel like I'm butchering this because I feel like I'm not using the right word, but I hope everyone can understand. If the chart is moving gradually to the upside, I don't mind playing the upside breaks like off the down trend lines that are coming down. So if there's like peaks and then it reaches a resistance, I draw a lower trend line, I draw a trend line down, and then I'll play the break of that trend line. So
Oh,
almost
okay,
like
got it.
the
Got it.
pennants, like the
Yes. You're
triangles.
a simple downtrend break almost is what you're saying. Just
Yeah,
something that's
yeah,
putting in lower lows, but finally breaks that downtrend and then might put in a higher high for you after
yeah.
that.
And then
Got it.
sometimes if it's like gotten away from me where there's been such a significant move to the upside, and then I'll just wait for it to like hit a resistance, pull back a lot, draw that same line, and then play the break of that line.
Interesting.
So, ask one of the questions we got is under your small cap rules, you say never buy resistance breaks. So, you're buying
Mm.
trend line breaks, not resistance
Yeah,
breaks. Is
this
that
was this was such a controversial question. I mean, controversial one because so many people have messaged me about this specific sentence. It's because of where I put it. So when I made this sheet, I should have separated small cap rules and general rules. I think I kind of mixed the two of them in the small cap rules because people thought like, okay, does this apply to large caps? No, it doesn't because for large cap, I buy resistance breaks all the time. Um, I meant like for high of day. So in small cap, what I've noticed is when a ticker is reaching high of day, whatever that is, that's usually where everyone else is selling. So I don't buy that strength.
Mm-hmm.
I buy the trend lines, the chart patterns, like you said, plain.
cool?
I love it. You almost took words out of my mouth that I told Blaine earlier today. If we're playing a dip or we're playing a consolidation, I said so we sell some through highs and then we
Mm-hmm.
just trail the rest on a moving average because we don't necessarily know how high something may go, but some charts just keep going on and on and on. But
Yeah,
as you said, once they break through that pre-market high, intraday high, that is always one of my targets to take some off the table. Because a lot
exactly.
of
Yeah.
times it's come up short a penny or two or three of that high. And I've watched big P&L come right back just because you're waiting for that high a day break. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you buy the high a day break, Blaine, sometimes you're buying like the fifth and the sixth green candle. That's a cue to leave.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
buying a high of day break is dumb, but like last November, December, a high of day break was like
Was money because everything was
it's a
going for
great
a
play.
Yeah.
second, third, and fourth day.
Yeah.
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 Everything was
I
just
loved a
moving.
high of day break.
Yeah. No, I haven't played those for a while. They just, it was especially like if it's a day where even one ticker will do this, I feel like small cap follows itself. So if one ticker has like a high of day break and a huge knife, like the high of day break candle will knife big time. I feel like every other ticker starts doing it too. And
Yeah.
so I just been staying away from those until I kind of stop seeing the knives, or who knows, maybe the knives are here to stay forever. Maybe they were always there. I
Isn't
just
that
didn't see
great?
them before.
They weren't in 2020.
They weren't okay because I definitely last time I was on this podcast was in that was in May, right?
Mm-hmm.
May last year. So I remember like that April and May period was like my dead period. Like I was just kind of doing, every knife I kept getting caught in.
Sure. I hang out in MTA all day and they just call it the 2021 now. We have an emoji for it. Like
Yeah.
it's just part of the market. Gonna
Yeah.
get knived.
By the way, I don't know if you were the same way, Esk, when you first started, but I know when I first started, especially last year, we used to have 100 and 200% gappers or
Hmm.
300% gappers. And,
Yeah.
and I would get to the screens, at 7:45 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And I would be like, holy heck, this thing's up, 200%. And so when I was then a very young trader, I used to try to get to the screens at 5:30 in the morning. I'm Central Time. So
Oh, wow.
I don't
Okay.
know if you were the same way because I was
I did.
so gung ho about trying to catch this, again, and at the time the portfolio was small. So you used to see these 200% moves and used to say like, man, these are happening before the market even opens. Just imagine you can
Hmm.
do what with your portfolio. So as a young trader, I used to get up really early, but now it's changed completely. So that's why I'm almost a little curious to hear about your morning routine. Because if you asked me a year ago, it used to be go to sleep early, get up super early so that you can potentially catch a 200% pre-market gapper.
Yeah, mine was more like go to sleep late and still wake up early and regret my life for the whole day and then take a nap after hours. No, yeah, no, I did the same. I did something similar at some point last year. We probably are talking about the same time period.
Yep.
It was like I could have been exactly this time last year. I know one of the things that I caught because I was doing that was Hertz. When it had like some type of they got some kind of funding or loan or whatever in the morning. And yeah, I was doing that too because I had started noticing that pre-market was super hot. And if you woke up in pre-market, you could kill it like in the morning. And
Mm-hmm.
so I woke up and for me it was 4 a.m. because I had to wake up, sit at my desk, do all that. But yeah, I haven't done that in a while though.
Yeah, and I feel like our market, kind of when you get to where you're at, you're not going to even be able to put on maybe the size, and there's not the liquidity, and there's really not even the price action that we're looking for in pre-market anymore.
Yeah, that and plus for me, so I don't have this is one of those things where I need to do all of this stuff. The problem is like my computer is like old now, I think, and it can't handle anything. I know. Don't give me that look.
You're a
I
millionaire.
know.
Spring
I,
for the big
cute,
computer. I am
As
not a millionaire
for
and
the
just sprung
record,
for the
it's
computer.
all of.
Hugh
I
told me
know
I
my
had to be
setup's a
cheap.
write-off.
Okay, huh?
It's a write-off.
Hugh told me I had to be cheap, so I've been being cheap for a really long time. So
Yeah, no,
I
it's a write-off, girl.
disagree. Get the computer.
Oh man, I wish, is this conversation a part of the thing?
Yeah, I
Should
think
be.
we've started back. Get a computer.
I no, I have a computer. Okay. It's not that old. Like I got it in
Okay.
2019. So it's not like the
Okay.
oldest computer. But the problem is for whatever reason, so I bought a third monitor thinking that I could run, like I was gonna get trade ideas. And
Mhm.
so I thought I could run it like, so I needed more screen for that. And yeah, my computer just can't handle, like it can't even, like it's been flickering on TOS. TOS crashed on me like during those down halts last week. So yeah, I need to level up in the computer space. But
Do you
I
remember
won't
on
take up
our
too.
first episode that we did together with Squeezy? And I think it was the three of us when I was like, oh, I trade on my phone. And he was like, what? Like, how do you like, let me have it? I'm going to give that back to you and say, don't let TOS crash on you during the day.
I know.
Do you see my new computer that I just got? You see how pretty it is?
It is so pretty. That's part of the problem. I think, like in general, I feel like I'm, with trading, I'm decisive, but in other aspects, sometimes I'm not that decisive. And I feel like everyone has these cool looking computers, and I just don't even have the slightest idea of where to start. Someone has been helping me on Discord though, like with finding the right one. But yeah, no, I need to do that.
Okay.
That's the thing I need to do.
Let
But
me tell another story that I think might be a girl thing. So AC, who taught me how to trade, thank you for that. AC, come on the podcast. Taught me how to trade, and I was like, I'm going to get a computer. And he didn't really know exactly what to tell me to get, but he was like, just go to Best Buy and have someone help you. So I walk into
okay.
the Best Buy and I'm looking around and I'm so lost, but I didn't want to ask for help because I just didn't want to tell him what I needed the computer for. And then finally this nice man came up and he was like, do you need help? And I was like, well, I need a computer system and it's for day trading. And if you don't know what day trading is, then you could just think like gaming. And he goes, day trading. Do you also want to mine crypto? And I was like, no, but run with it. Whatever you say is fine. That's what we'll get. And he got me what I needed. And that's I needed someone to just, he like put it all in the cart for me and then just wheeled it out to the car. And I'm good to go.
Took your credit card and
yeah. I'm sure I paid like twice as much by getting it at Best Buy, but I was lost.
Yours looks
Yeah.
awfully similar to mine. I think it's time for a desktop upgrade.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, I'm also so used to having an iMac, and then everyone has like PCs now. So I'm like, do I want to switch? It's back and forth that I do all the time. But
do you just run like a boot camp on your iMac?
I don't even know what you just said.
So so there are people that you can actually make your iMac run like a PC.
Oh, no, I don't do that. So I just
Gotcha.
have like, it's just running as an iMac. So, mainly it's just TOS and like, that's it, that's running. So basically I just need like more power, I guess, more memory. But the reason why this conversation even got brought up was because I don't have like one of the news alert thingies, like the scans or Benzinga or whatever. So because of that, I feel like if I wake up in pre-market, the first couple of candles are the ones that are like so huge, and you only get those if you have like one of the news services.
Yeah.
So
And
that's why I don't do it
by the
anymore.
way, I use Benzinga Pro. Fantastic. Their advanced news feed is great. And then I also use Trade Ideas. And then, those scanners I did get from another trader, but Trade Ideas is great.
Very exciting thing for all the listeners. If you would like either Benzinga or Trade Ideas, you can check the show notes because we have affiliate relationships with them. So you can help the podcast, you can up your trading. Just check the show notes. Thank you for that.
To do that.
But they're both
Ariel,
worth having.
You're hired.
No,
that was perfect lead in.
Yeah, they're both worth having. I use them both, and they are incredibly helpful. I probably use every news feed that there is. And I'm a day trader, and I'm using Fintel, and people are like, "What do you need Fintel for?" And I said, "Well, sometimes I want to know about insider buys. Sometimes I want to know
Yeah.
about the short float, and again, it's all, yeah, it's like a cost here and there every single month, but it's all relative next to what you're
Yeah.
doing anyway. So it's just
Yeah,
a
I
cost.
need to do all of that stuff. I just don't do it. Sometimes it's also like I feel like I have a system down and introducing something new to that system. I'm so slow at doing that where I don't introduce new things until like either the thing that I'm doing is feeling like I need to add something to it, or I'm so consistent to where I start adding to it. Right now I'm like starting to or I've been trading large cap for a while, but I've been trying to be a little bit more aggressive with it. And so even that, I'm like just taking things slow. So that's part of the reason why I think when you're super new, it's super easy to be like, let me get Benzinga Pro and let me get scans and let me get trade ideas and let me buy like the best computer and let me buy like all these indicators and let me like sign up for this service and that service. And then next thing you know, you're like, it's information overload and you just are paralyzed by it all. That's
Totally.
another
I
reason
get that.
other than my computer, but you know.
I totally get that.
I've heard that. What do they say? They say paralysis by analysis.
Analysis
Analysis, but
paralysis.
yeah,
Yeah, there it
yeah,
Yeah.
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's exactly what it is.
information overload.
All right, guys. Do you want to help a listener out? I just got a DM here in my Twitter,
Sure.
and I'm
Let's
not
go.
going to give all this information out, but someone just DM'd me and said that they are a brand new trader and just had a huge win in their Robinhood account. So now they have a little seed money. What should they do next? They're brand new.
Well, can
Did
I
I
can I ask a
stump you
question?
guys?
No, no, no. Okay. Well, I don't want to give advice.
Right, right,
But
right.
yeah,
This is just general. What advice would you give to a brand new trader?
what advice would I give to a running tutor? Well, how do they make the money is the more important question.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into that with them, and I also am afraid to give any advice, so I might not ask.
If they made the money like having a plan, then take a little break, find the next plan that you have. Maybe don't risk it all, kind of a thing. But if they made the
Mm-hmm.
money YOLOing, um, I would chill on it for a bit.
That's great, honestly. If they did make the money YOLOing, use that money and go find great traders that may have a paid room and go learn from them.
Mm.
I mean, I know that sounds crazy, or go pay for some form of education. There are a lot of great traders out there. I don't necessarily want to name drop on guys who have paid rooms, but there are people out there who can teach you a lot. If you just got lucky and YOLO'd a bunch of money and you still don't know a whole lot about market structure and how things move and why things move, don't think you're going to continue to get lucky in the market, because it's really not how it works. But that's a great point. If somebody had a structured plan and they stuck to it and then they got paid, well, then they should look to just duplicate exactly what they just did.
Yeah.
I'm also, since it's my podcast, going to plug my Discord room, and you guys can come stream TA and learn all kind of stuff for free all the time. And we have
Yeah.
amazing traders who will hold your hand and help you. And that it would be basically find someone you can trust and learn how to trade.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's hard for I think newer traders to do that, to find people that they can trust. I think when you use Discords, any of them, um, like blanket statement, you have to be really good at filtering out noise from like what actually matters.
Totally.
And it's really difficult to do that, especially if you're new, because when you're new, you're kind of just soaking it all up. So I would just caution anyone also who joins Discord groups with this idea that it's going to be that's gonna be what makes them. It definitely can. It did for me, 1000%. You both know exactly which Discords I'm talking about. I've talked about them extensively, like on my Twitter feed. I've named tons of people that I've used as resources to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they've all totally helped me. But you have to be able to filter out, and only take the information that applies to you specifically, your situation, your personality, and then go from there.
I just interviewed Stalker Ryan. By the time this episode comes out, his episode will have come out, and Making Sales, and his episode's already out. And there was such a strong correlation between both of them, saying that they just were like the squeaky wheel. Like they just kept asking questions and kept studying. And they both got mentors through doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
I have always been so afraid to ask a question because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to ask a question and then that person ask me a question and me be like, I don't know what VWAP is or what, whatever, like
Yeah.
for that person to think that I'm a fraud. So I have come
Oh,
so far by myself. And I was so impressed by these two guys being like, no, I just stayed at it and kept asking. It was not the route I took, but mad respect for it. And you have to do that if you're in a free room.
yeah. I want to like touch on a couple keywords you use just because maybe this is because we're girls, because I've never heard a guy say this. I hate to be the one to say that, but you said like if you didn't know what VWAP was, they would think that you're a fraud. So it's so interesting that you use that statement, because even in recording this podcast earlier, when I couldn't describe what I was talking about in terms of an uptrend, I was thinking, oh my God, are people gonna think I'm a fraud? Like it's just one
No,
of those things but it's just one of those things that I think like sometimes it's a little bit of like that imposter syndrome, because even
for
now,
sure.
like with if anyone objectively looked at what I've done, they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." But I'm sitting here thinking like, is it though? Like, the imposter syndrome does play a little bit of a role in that.
For sure.
That's great that you even feel that. Because sometimes I like it when people doubt what I've done. Or even for yourself, that's got to be such a great feeling, because at the end of the day, what you know, and nobody's ever going to take that away from you. And
Yeah.
sharing your journey the way you do every single day. I mean, you can hang your hat on that and feel really good every single day when you go to sleep. So one of the biggest compliments I ever got was when Guru Leaks was like, well, is he really real? And I loved it. I loved it. I mean, it was like hey, look, if you want to come sit right next to me while I'm doing what I'm doing, I invite you over. I live in Chicago. Please come by.
Oh my God.
You can't be mad about that. That's like what if somebody makes a fake Instagram account or Twitter account of mine, I'll be humbled.
Yeah, I think it just goes from I think for me it comes from a place of like maybe when I was like, and I don't want to like go into like a therapy session here, but maybe when I was younger, I had like, I wasn't that confident like when I was younger. And so, even in law school, I struggled with the same exact thing I'm talking about. I was like on paper, like a great student. I was killing it in law school. I was on law review. Like I did really good. I got a great job even after. And then when I was actually practicing, I was like, do I even know what I'm doing? And it was just one of those things that I think kind of just sometimes happens. I don't know why. I'm getting better at it. Like, getting rid of that feeling of feeling like, am I really supposed to be where I'm at? You know, someone will comment and say like, oh, you just got lucky. And,
Nope.
and
No
I'll, and
way.
I'll, well, I mean, for some fairness, maybe a little, there is like that time that I came to the market was a good time to, I guess, be here. But yeah, you're right. Objectively, there's also tons of people that came at the same time and,
Have crapped
didn't.
out already.
Yeah. So, just, I don't want you to feel like that's only you, Blaine. It
Well,
happens.
I so relate to that, and I appreciate you saying it. I think it
Um,
every single day. And then if I do have a good trade and I found the trade all by myself, it was all my idea and it's great, I'm like, well, I was lucky that I was looking at that. Or I mean, I'll make like all kind of excuses about it.
No, it's all skill. That's what it is.
I've got a question for you. Before you come to the desk, so are you only trading names that are high on the day, relative volume, and then are just setting up to, whatever it is criteria that you like, or are you scanning the market end of the day for, maybe some charts that you had no idea were there, things that you had no idea are setting up, things that might have a bigger time frame look to it? Like, what is your go-to sort of sense in terms of finding the names that you end up trading?
So it's half and half of what you talked about. For small cap, it's exclusively the first part. So um, I don't I don't look at like larger time frames after market close. I'm not scanning for like potential breakouts. Typically, by the time I wake up, something has set itself up to be the trade for the day, or that the trade that's going to present opportunities for the day. Either because it had news, it gapped, it has good relative volume, or it has like something going on, or it could have been like today with NE and BTBT and Bitcoin and that
Yeah.
whole thing. So something will have set itself up. And even if it's something that's going to fail, even there's always bounces off the fails. So that for small cap is pretty much, I'm just, going off what's going on in the morning. Sometimes if like there's a ticker, the specific like one day, like CEI was obviously on watch this whole time for the past like couple weeks. If there's something that's like halted up a bunch of times one day, which we haven't had in a while, but like if it's something that ran like and went crazy, I'll have it obviously on watch for the next day. And I'm looking to see like, okay, on the chart, what could potentially happen tomorrow, kind of a thing. But other than that, no. For large cap, I'll do a little bit more where I'm looking at like patterns on like a daily time frame, like flags or pennants or whatever. So
Yeah. Are you playing large caps for longer time frame moves, or just are you using the larger time frame to then give you that build a conviction for a smaller time frame play?
the second part. So use the larger time to build the smaller time
Frame
move.
conviction.
So yeah, I
Yep.
mostly trade on a 1 minute chart.
Yep.
I have a 5 minute up for like confirmation for entries, and then also like to guide me a little bit if I'm a little bit hesitant about my exits. And it looks good on the 5 minute. I'll tend to let this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I'll let it breathe a little bit more if it looks good on the
Mhm.
5 minute. But I'm mostly like trading on a 1 minute chart.
Got it.
Whew, so brave. Really getting away
It,
from that 1 minute chart.
it's the 1 minute
I'm
is
just
hard.
used to it.
It's heartburn. It's heartburn. I love it. I used it and traded it on it forever, but myself too. You can use level 2, in my opinion, which I love, or you can use the 1 minute. I mean, they are essentially the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this just speaks to like my, because I mean, I've only been trading for full time for a year and a half, some change, right? Or maybe a year and a half. So I don't really know what a full, real, normal market cycle is going to look like or does look like. So it's possible that like maybe in the future I start trading off these like bigger time frames because maybe my maturity as a trader grows and stuff.
Hmm.
But for now, that's what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
your maturity as a trader has grown so much just since May. I'm so impressed with you, just continually impressed with you and your consistency. And I mean, honestly, self confidence. You have to have so much self confidence to do what we do. And I always find that interesting when people say that they see the setups, but they just hesitate to take the trade. That's not something I struggle with. And I know that that's not something either of you struggle with. And that seems to come from just knowing yourself and being confident in your decision making. So,
Yeah.
I just wanted to compliment you on how far you've come in total, but also this is a nice bookmark since last time I spoke to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Blaine. That means so much coming from you.
Well, we are almost wrapping up. Is there anything that I or we did not ask you? Or Ariel, do you have any last questions?
I've got one final one, and it is regarding: are you and your husband trading in the same exact room? You guys both have your setup right
Yeah.
next to each other.
Yeah, we have like this really long IKEA desk. So I have like I got these desks from IKEA and there's like three of them put together to make like this one giant desk across the wall. And yeah, we sit next to each other every single day.
Wrong on something, or if you think he's wrong on something, do you ever hedge the other side, protect the family's money?
Well, protect the family's money. That's funny. So I don't really short small cap because I don't have I trade on TOS and they don't TD doesn't really
Yeah.
let you do that. So
Sure.
no, I haven't ever shorted like a play he's long on. We have a rule. So if we're in a trade and it's the same trade, we're not allowed to talk to each other about it because more often than
Influence
not,
each other.
yeah, I don't want that. I other people like online don't influence me. Like I sense the vibes and I'm like, okay, like, this is where the sentiment is, this and that. But like my husband's opinion, I tend to care about. So, I mean, naturally, right? So, when there's been times where I've been in trades and he's been like, "Oh, that's like such a crappy setup." And then, it shakes my confidence a little bit. So we have a rule, and that rule that's existed for like a really long time. And the opposite is true too. So like just the other day, I kind of he had some buy orders in, right? And I was like, just cancel them. You're not going to get them. Like, just end the day, let's go, It was like, 5 minutes before close. And then he was like, he canceled them. And then, sure enough, he would have he would have gotten his bills. So, yeah, we just have a rule that we don't talk to each other about the trades when we're in the trades because that way you just don't influence each other. But
That's
yeah, we're in the
fair.
same room. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I had some interest on that topic because my girlfriend's also a trader.
Oh, is she? Is she?
Oh,
Oh, are you? Well, are you guys living together and she in the same room? No.
No, we don't live together, but maybe in the future here we will be. And I just wanted to know how you handled the situation because she's very good herself and she's finding awesome setups all the time. And I just wanted to know if there was a healthy competition between you guys or if you're
The
shorting when he's
competition.
going long.
No, the competition is on my end solely. Okay, so he's never competing with me ever. But I'm competitive in that way sometimes, and so the tracker that I have is more so for us to compete. Like there's days I'm better than him, months I'm better than him. Last year he
That's
had a much better year than I did. So that is what has him like ahead of me. This year we're really close. Like we're not that far apart.
you've got the one up on him right now.
No, 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 not yet. Not yet. I'm a little behind. I set myself back in April and May while he was grinding away. I was just getting knifed left and right. So, I set myself a little bit back then. But yeah, like February, I had better days, month. There's been other months too. Today. So it just varies.
That's awesome.
But he doesn't care. I only care about that.
I can't let you go unless I ask if you met your girlfriend on Twitter.
No, I didn't. We go back years. And, when I started trading, um, I've got quite the story myself, which some people will get to hear soon. But um, yeah, a lot of my friends really were just dabbling on their phone, the whole Robinhood thing. But last year, the
Hmm.
market was in this insane correction. So when I got started in the market, I started with a decent amount. It was $14,000, but the market was in this really nice correction. So everything you were touching, was turning into gold. And my family has kind of played in the markets for a little bit. And my stepfather's had a portfolio for 20 years. So I've always been under the impression you find something that you like, you buy it, you hold it for a little while. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about the market. So it was like, okay, I came across this idea on MARK, which was they were doing like this thermal imaging for opening.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
I remember that.
I was thinking it was gonna be massive, and here I was at $1.20, and this
That's my
$14,000
Kodak.
account. Yeah. And there's this $14,000 account, and I thought to myself, MARK sounds good. While I learn, let's just see what happens. And I didn't even really realize how I had all my money at risk, but
Yeah.
MARK ended up going more than 100%. And that's actually how I got my launch into day trading, was MARK. And
What a
it
great
wasn't until,
story. Sorry.
it wasn't until a few months, of just because I started day trading full time in June. So June, July, August was kind of a little bit of struggle because you still don't really know. And here you are every day, day trading. But then August or end of August, September, October, November, December, the market kind of got hot. And then that's when my portfolio somewhat took off. And then the start of 2020, things just kind of went berserk. And Ask, you probably know this as well as anybody, like sympathy plays were working like you
Yeah.
couldn't imagine. I mean, I did $500,000 on DLPN and $500,000 on Kodak. So, literally
That's
not even,
insane.
and I wasn't even looking
Big
at the chart.
congrats to you.
Thank you. Thank you. But we're not even looking at the chart. We don't care about chart pattern, but it's GME's flying by Kodak, right? And the liquidity was there and plenty of volatility. And so
There
when
was a
one's
lot of
going up, the other were just following. And it was the same thing. TCAT was moving, DLPN right behind it. Leads was
mm-hmm,
moving, Mosey right behind it.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, I took advantage of it so much. TD Ameritrade eventually gave me the boot. But that's
Oh
when
man,
my
you got
girl.
kicked off the platform?
Oh yeah, they kicked me right off. Yeah. Oh,
Oh
Ask, you would love
wow.
this story. I ended up taking my $100,000 account to like 3.3 million, and they gave me the boot.
Wow. That's crazy.
So, and so my
Congratulations
girlfriend
to
at this
you.
point was like, like this is insane. You're like a expander of mine, like you've like shown me that this can be done. And I said, there
Mm-hmm.
really is no rocket science behind it. If you just understand setups. Now I've made tons of my money sympathy trading. So it's like going back in, deep diving, learning what a good setup is, why things set up and move the way they do, what like volatility contraction really looks like,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can get yourself into like a trade without tons of risk, and like,
Yeah.
again, I go over these kind of setups with Blaine all the time, like looking for higher lows, looking for a tightening consolidation, looking for something that's up, like started in an uptrend, like looking for these things and then, trading them as well as you
Yeah.
can. Because
I'm
sympathy plays just weren't a thing as much these past few months because liquidity's been
mm-mm.
bad. So, even the
Yeah.
lead runners weren't going,
Yeah.
100% in the day. Sometimes the lead runner was doing 35% on the day, and you had to be happy playing that one because there was nothing following behind it. So,
Yeah, like today even with BTBT, any like even with BTC, I know they all ran
yep.
a little bit,
Hut did as well. Mara, Riot.
but I just feel like it's not the same as it used to be, and I just haven't been messing with them as much. But I feel what you're talking about because I too played the sympathies, clearly not as well as you did. You did fantastic. Um, but I played them too, and they haven't they just haven't been there. So I've been having to learn new things and like figure out, and that's where really I think the chart patterns have been mostly what I've been doing because of that.
Yeah. If we're looking at just the bigger time frame, and this just goes to a mentality thing, if something takes days or hours to set up, and whatever the setup is that you might like, I really like bullish wedges, right? Whether you trade them on the
Mhm.
1 minute or the 5 minute or the 15. I mean, look at Hut, for instance, was a textbook 15-minute wedge. When you just look at these things, depending on whatever time frame, if they set up for days, then you need to be prepared to have hours or days worth of patience. If they just set up in a few minutes, then you should only need to have a few minutes worth of patience for that trade. And I like that you do
Write
trade
that
the 1
down.
minute, but you said it earlier too. Like you said it, I'm in the trade for just a few minutes, but you're looking at the 1 minute. So that
Yeah.
is what, it's not like you want to be in this trade for hours, but you're staring at the 1 minute, and the hourly might just be so overextended. Yeah, it might look a nice, cute 1 minute setup, but on the hourly, it's like this thing started 400, 500, 600% ago, a la
Yeah.
CEI. Shouldn't be touching it at 4.
Yeah. See, I really thought CEI was going to be like, I mean, maybe it still is the one. I really thought like, okay, this is it. Momo is like back. We're back, baby. Like, um, but
My
hopefully,
mentor Cam was saying we were due for 1,000% runner. And he was saying
mm,
this like in the midst of CEI. Like he kept saying, like, guys, I think the market's coming back. We're in the midst of like this. I think we're gonna get
we
a
all know.
1,000% run. I think we're gonna get 1,000% run. It's like they're all waiting for 1,000% intraday, but we got 1,000% mover in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And
and my husband kept like he'd be like because he likes swinging a little bit more, and
yeah,
so he was like, I'm just waiting for it to dip here. I'm just waiting for it to dip here. I'm just and then it was the same thing. He wasn't getting the dips that he wanted because it just was not giving the opportunity. Like it just kept going.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's tough. It was a not an easy trader unless you got in way early and then you were up massive on it early. You could have just hung out.
Yeah, regret
Anybody
of
in
my life.
sub one, anybody in sub
I'm
one.
just joking. I'm just joking when I say that, but really though, regret of my life.
What a move! Oh, yours. Ask. I was in AMC at 220 with 60,000 shares.
I sold my last AMC shares in the fives. I remember when it was like $8. I was just telling my husband this story last night. I remember that day. Blaine, you were trading during this time, right?
Yeah, AMC got
Okay.
me over PDT. Love
Okay.
AMC. Real
So
soft spot for it.
so I remember it was at $8, okay, in after hours.
Gapped up
And
that next morning to
I,
25.
yeah, but I remember like the whole I didn't fully grasp the concept of like what it means when someone like Elon or Chamath tweets something.
The
I
popcorn.
didn't, yeah, I didn't
The
fully understand that. Yeah. I didn't fully get
It was
that.
the
And
popcorn tweet, like, or AMC's got the best popcorn or something.
yeah, that was my introduction to like the fact that like Elon could tweet this and it could like skyrocket. So I remember seeing it at 8 and he was like, freaking going off on in all these discords, like, AMC moon emojis, whatever he was doing that night. And then in the morning, I remember staying up to see like what it would gap up to, which is like 1 a.m. for me. And all I remember was like uh it just gapping up and like everyone that was in it became like millionaires. Like if you had size, you just became a millionaire overnight, even if you bought it at 8, because it
Doubled, tripled,
yeah, it
tripled.
doubled like first thing in the morning. You just doubled whatever you put in was doubled instantly. And yeah, I was just telling him that last night. I was like, that was crazy.
What good
I
times.
miss it.
Can those come back?
I know.
I don't know. You know what? I don't think they're gonna
You
come
like
back.
those halt washouts. You like those halt washouts, and that GameStop halt washout all the way down to the 100 from 500 might have been the greatest thing the stock market has
You
ever
know
seen.
what's so funny? I think I'm negative on GME for the year.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't play it because,
No.
well, because when I first started, sorry, Blaine, are we going too long? But I think these are like helpful stories, maybe. I don't know.
No,
When
keep
I
going.
first started, when I had a $30,000 account, right? And I remember my account was at 30 something when I had funded it a little bit more to get over PDT. And um, basically, I couldn't like even think about taking a trade on a ticker that was over $5. And then slowly, like after it got like, in the hundreds or something, maybe like November, December, is when I started thinking, I think maybe like 200s. I was like, okay, maybe I can do like $5 to $10 stocks if I'm like, really, conservative. So when GME and, when AMC was at $8, for me, that was like, oh my God, it's so expensive, you know? And then when GME was, I don't know, like $90, I couldn't even think of trading something like that. Like it wasn't even in my, in like my plan of what type of trades I took. And so yeah, so I just never traded it.
That's
And then I did
interesting.
trade it like recently and I I lost money.
And
So I'm
let me
negative on it
ask,
for the year.
so now you will trade large caps. Is there a reason that you like your large caps now?
Yeah, because they provide like good scalps, look good, easy scalps. So I'll use
Yes, they
size in
do.
terms of like account size, not
Yep.
really size in terms of shares. So like with Tesla, if I buy 1,000 shares and it moves like 2, 3 points, I'm up like,
Three
two,
grand.
$3,000 and
Yep.
then I'm done. Yeah.
I
So
think I was telling Blaine about this yesterday. Did I tell you I was playing AMD?
I thought you were playing Tesla yesterday.
No, I was
No.
playing, no, I was playing Facebook yesterday.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, so I was playing Facebook yesterday, and I actually had some not so pretty loser the first entry, but I made all that back, and then some on like the eventual bottom. But yeah, these large caps do provide like awesome opportunities because even AMD, like I know this sounds crazy, right? But they're just not super volatile in terms of like percentage moves. So like you
Mm-hmm.
can put like I had 10,000 shares of AMD at like $99 and 90 cents. And
Yeah, my
and then and then today it ends up going, $101 plus $102 move. So it's like if you hold those are $20,000 wins, which like in terms of money is great, but like in terms of a percentage, you're never like in some insane danger of blowing up your account. So that is for me the reason that I love large caps. And there's not kill candles like there is in small caps. So
yeah.
I'm like
I'm
never
still
worried that you're in something that's just going to absolutely tank on you. Or like anybody see the PROG chart the other day? The trading nice and clean, and then an
cross.
offering, and it's just
Yeah.
offering from hell. You're not getting that in large caps. So that is another like enticing. Again, smaller accounts.
But you could
Do
do
you really want to
options.
have
It's like
to,
the
yeah, do you
whole,
really want to have to put 50, 60% of your portfolio, 70% of your into something to make money? And then at that point, if you don't have a big portfolio, like the money might not literally be substantial. But when you do have a larger account, I know you could agree, making that 2, 3 points when you've got a
yeah.
thousand, 2,000. I mean, even myself, I think AMD was like a 70-cent scalp. 70-cent scalp on 10,000 shares. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, not at all. But like I'm still too scared to do that. Like when you said 10,000, I'm just still like, and I guess yeah,
It's
it's
just
just like it's one of those things that I think you build over time, right? Like you've
it's like
obviously
callus on the skin.
yeah, but like you built yeah, exactly like that. Like
It's like
you built that.
Yeah, it's like loss tolerance. There was like
Yeah.
one time, so like I've had some insane days where like I've done, $200,000 days. And then, it's like the very first time I had like my 6-figure loss. That's kind of like when like that,
I would
like the,
die.
yeah, and I felt like it. I did. I felt like sick. But then, it's like I had that 6-figure loss, and then I came back the next day and had like an 80K day, and then like a 30K day, and then like a 40K day. It's like, so at the end of the week, I finished like 80K green. And I was just like, okay, like that's as bad as it was. And so, like, but mentally, you were calloused. And I could look back at that trade and say, well, what did I do wrong? Okay, I was trying to hold a stock up by myself. There wasn't a lot of liquidity. I kept buying the ask. I was trying to move something up with just my sheer size. And I made a lot of mistakes. And I also thought it was going to be a sympathy play, but oversized on a sympathy. So there's like a lot of these things that I ended up learning from that. But then, like, once you just go back to what you know,
Hmm.
you just get it back. And then Again, if I see an A plus sympathy play opportunity, I 100% will put six figures at risk every time, the right opportunity is there, because you were there when SPI went from 1 to 46. If you knew anything about sympathy plays, Sun W was on your radar and you knew what it was going to do.
Yeah.
So it's just about the predictable move. Yeah. Did I know it was going to go 400% from like 88 cents to all-time highs, same day?
Yeah.
No,
Hmm.
but SPI did just go 4,600%. I mean, shit, the least this can do is go a tenth of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to take, that big risk if the right opportunity is there, because if it pans out, great. You only need one of those trades. If I've got 500,000 shares of Sun W and you're risking 10 cents, okay, maybe even 20 cents, it's at 88-cent stock. It's got to drop so much in terms of percentage for you to take a crappy loss in terms of what end up seeing to the upside. If you hit one of those trades a year, and your risk might have been 40, 50, 60, $80,000 to the downside, but you end up catching $1, $2, $3 to the upside on 500,000 shares, you only need one of those. And again, that's how I ended up making tons of money on names like, because again, when AMC or GME went bananas, berserk, we had already seen what Sun W SPI done. So it's like people have already seen in their minds what sympathy plays do. I mean,
Yeah.
we had it earlier last year when I first started trading, and names like U1 started going, and then the next day same day it was UONEK and CARV. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Little did I know that they were all intermingled in the same kind of a sector, in the same kind of space. And same thing when GNUS went crazy. GNUS went nuts, and then you started to see, I think it was names like NTN and SALM go behind it. And so that starts to click into your mind. And if you if it's got to be the right sympathy play, it can't just be anything. But if you try that sympathy play and you're wrong 4 times in a row, if you're right that fifth time, it just made up for those 4 times and 10 times after that. But again, sizing's going to be everything. It's got
Yeah.
to be there's got to be some kind of like emotional tolerance behind it. And I hated taking that kind of a loss, but you live, you learn, you move on, and you just look for other really great setups. And
Yeah. I
so,
think this what you just everything that you just said also goes to the point that like it's remarkable what you were able to do, but it's that is so dependent on like who you are as a person and like your ability to tolerate losses. And like you
mhm.
said, callus on the skin, it evolves over time. I'm sure my tolerance will evolve, Blaine's, and yours will evolve also. But I just think it's one of those things that some people just trade differently. No, they won't be able to do what you just said you did. I don't right now, hearing you say it, I'm like not jealous, but I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. I just have but I also know if I did that and if I lost 4 times in a row, like I would be dead before I even got to the fifth time. Like I would be like down in the dirt. Like I would I like yeah, I can't like now I can't even imagine it now because my biggest loss now is this one time where I lost like 16,000, and I regret that day like even today. Like, I'm still living in like the fear of losing that $16,000 ever again. Um, but
Yeah.
it just goes to show you how you can trade in so many different ways and
For
still,
sure.
make it in the market. Like the market is really available for whoever wants to, I think, like, apply themselves and,
And
For sure.
go for it.
I feel like as the portfolio grew, um, now it's like, okay, it, and I love the way you do it. I mean, that it's sometimes that base hit mentality is the very best mentality you can put yourself in. But I just try to remove my eyes away from the P&L. And I just let if a chart says it wants
Yeah.
to go higher based on the things it has shown me, over the last, 6 days, and it's now consolidated for a few days, and it is now showing strength that it might want to go higher. I don't want to get in the chart's way. I just want to get on for the ride. And if it's going to be like a nice, wave, then you get on for the wave. And again, like you like trading those breakouts. I mean, you said it. And sometimes when something sets up so beautifully that then it goes to break out on the hourly and on the daily setup, when it starts to then break out on the hourly, the same way you would play it on the minute, you just play it on the hourly. You're looking for something similar. It just sets up longer. And then now your patience just has to change, instead of it being a 1 to 3 minute on the 1 minute candlestick, it might be 1 to 3 hour on the 1 hour candlesticks.
I have to move to the 5 minute first, and then we'll talk hours.
Yeah.
Let me just transition over to the 5 minute.
I'm surprised you don't. There's so much less heartburn on the 5, in my opinion. Like a lot of times these kill candles that you might see on the 1, and then you look at this hourly chart and you're like, man, this thing was so clean, the higher lows, and then it broke out. And it's just like so clean on the 1 hour. And then you look at the 1, you're like, what the hell, this battlefield, this battleground. But yet the 1 hour is so clean and it's so well put together and it's so linear, right? Like there's no real major moves up. There's no real major moves down. It's just like it showed strength. It consolidated for a few days. It's potentially going for that second leg, and it's clean, it's linear. But on the 1 minute, God bless you. Oh man, it's a battlefield.
Looks like a battlefield. Wait, Blaine, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Are you a fan of the full porting? Like
No.
You don't. Do you do it ever?
No.
Are you just you're like backing away from the mic as you're even answering the question?
No, I don't full port things. No, my only thing I've ever done well in my entire trading career, as I've said before, is I just have never blown up an account. Like I just keep living, right?
Yeah.
So
live to see another day.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't. I'm not gonna blow up that account. I'm not gonna full port. No. It's just not me. So I don't even really like to overnight things.
Yeah. Oh no, I stopped overnighting a while ago. Like if I take a swing or if I take an overnighter, it's like very rare. But I was just curious because Mullins is a fan of that, right?
Oh, Brad loves to full port. And I respect him for it. And I love the way he trades. And that's been my whole, like, I want to trade like Brad. Like, I freaking love the way Brad trades. But I can't full port. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So.
Just goes to show you there's 3 of us here and everyone trades differently and still profitable. So,
There's got to be enough liquidity. That's why those large caps can be great. You can full portfolio on a large cap. I was full porting yesterday on Facebook, for the record. I mean, I was buying, 8,000 shares of Facebook yesterday.
How do you sleep at night?
Well, I wasn't overnighting. I wasn't overnighting. It was strictly scalping. So like my AMD trade was a strict scalp.
That too.
Yeah, it was just a scalp. I mean, you can kind of see once like the chart finally starts bottoming, but Facebook almost did not want to find a bottom yesterday. But I just kept looking at, I like using EMAs. So I put Facebook, when I pulled it up, and then I looked at the 200 EMA, it was like $323, and we were at like 326, I think it was. And I was just like, God, do I really have to, like, is this really going to come down $3 more? Like, I was so anxious to get in to play it for like that $2, $3, $4 move back up. But it goes back to what I said earlier, being patient for your entry, you end up making more money on the way back up. Because had I started to just even piece in 500 shares at a time up there, you end up still with a kind of crappy average. So I was like looking at the bigger picture, and I said, all right, well, if it comes down $3 more, I'll really be interested. And it did. And then that's when if you've got to full port the thing to make $2, $3 on a really because at the way I look at it is, even if I have 8,000 shares and I lose $1 on it, I'm not going to dread sleep over it, honestly.
I would. I would dread sleep over $8,000.
Let me amend my answer a little bit. So I don't full port things, but I will half port like 6 things a day. So
okay.
I mean, but I just won't do the whole thing in one move. But
okay. I was just curious because I get the sizing question a lot, and it's very difficult to answer because everyone's size is different depending, obviously, like, on their risk tolerance. As you can see, Ariella has like a very bigger, like much bigger
high
risk tolerance. High
sure.
risk tolerance compared to either of us. But yeah, like it just is so dependent, I guess, on like everything, market, how you're feeling, like, the setup. So I was just curious if you ever do it.
No, but I use the margin in the margin account, and I mean, I'll do some wild stuff and probably last time we talked, the biggest size I would take in something is like 500 shares, and then now I will have like 2,000. So I am growing.
Yeah.
Just having all my eggs in one basket freaks me out.
I can definitely see that. That can be scary, honestly. It just depends. It depends how volatile in terms of percentage move it's going to be. If I'm in a small cap and it's $5, I don't want 400,000 shares of it. I'm good, But if it's a large cap and it's moving half percentage, quarter percentage points in like a minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, you're not in danger of blowing up. That's the nice part. You're not going to get caught in an offering halt going down full portfolio in large caps.
I guess that's true. The large caps do offer that kind of safety. I'm still working on my large cap strategy, so it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more.
Part of it is, you're like trading good companies. You're not trading companies that are strapped for cash and right in the middle of your trading day are going to prog on you.
Yeah. Something did that today at like 10:45
CEI?
something.
Oh.
No, what?
Which one? CEI? DATS?
It was something else. I can't remember. Wasn't in it.
But before we hate on penny stocks too much, because this is the Penny Lane pod, it literally built my account to what it is. I want to say, like, we're talking about large cap a lot right now. Probably 95% of my account is all from small cap.
I wouldn't be day trading if it wasn't for MARK. So much love to the Remark Corporation.
Yeah, it's all from it's all from small cap. It's
Guys, I've learned so much in the last half an hour. I thought we were going to wrap up, and I just got a master class in trading and risk tolerance. So I've learned so much. Ariel, thank you so much for hopping on last minute. You have been an incredible co-host. I appreciate everything and all the little nuggets. ESQ, always a pleasure. I hope you come back 100 more times. I could talk
Thank
to
you so much for having me. And thank you for having me like last year. I was so nervous when I was on last year, and you were so kind to me, and that probably encouraged me to even, go on and do like, other, speaking things and stuff. So I'm very, very grateful to you for even having me on.
Oh, I loved it. And we really have to thank Squeezy for that. He insisted that
I
have you on. So thank you, Squeezy. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of your last couple months. Just, I hope you hit 5 million by the end of the year.
I mean, let's be realistic.
Once you really get that risk tolerance up, you could be at 5 million tomorrow.
Pull in Ariel over
AMC here. Or GME round 2. That's all we really need.
Sure. Yeah. Just really need to ignite small caps one more time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'll see you out there tomorrow. Hope we all finish the week strong.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Yeah, I hope everyone finishes the week strong. Thank you.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I especially love the end part where Ariel and ESQ were just talking. I mean, 2 incredible traders, and I just thought, I can't believe I'm so lucky to be witnessing this conversation. I hope you guys felt the same way and learned a lot from this episode. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. It helps us so much. And stay tuned because we will have the shark episode coming up next, so you won't want to miss that. Thank you, as always, to our producer Joel Edwards and Chesley Lowe for the banjo music. See you guys soon!